Thanks very much, David. I won't keep you very long because it's been such a warm atmosphere in this room. When I was first asked about coming along here, I thought, what the heck am I getting myself into? Anne-Marie Elias and Pia Waugh talked me into it. But the minute I walked in the room and I saw the passion and the commitment that people have for what they are doing, for what you are doing, it seemed to me that this is an initiative that anybody in government, in opposition, all sides of politics, should be supporting 110%. Now, someone before, I forget who it was, made a very wise remark. Not all wisdom resides in government. That is absolutely correct. You wonder some days if any wisdom resides in government. But my point is this: increasingly, governments are recognising that in this age, where IT in particular has democratised the distribution of knowledge and power, the wisdom of crowds is what will give you the solutions to intractable social and economic problems. This idea, top-down, command and control, working in silos, somehow you can solve these things, that's gone. Now, what you do is you get groups of people together with diverse experiences, you put them in a room, you get them thinking, kicking stuff around, and that's how you get things done. The other thing that excites me about what you're doing is, too often in government, I've watched us try and build everything from scratch. It might be a whole new electronic health system, for argument's sake. And what do? We spend $500 million on it, or $1 billion. And yet if you got a group of creative people together at the start and said, hey, how can we do this, and what's happening out there, and what are some of the models, almost off the shelf, about how we can do this, how do we scale it up, how much more effective would that be? How much more quickly would things happen? And that's what this is about. Paul mentioned about outcomes and results. Ultimately, it's about getting a result. Too often, I've worked in corporates and I've worked in government. Too often in big corporates and in government, having meetings and having a plan is an achievement in itself. No, you want the outcome. You want the result. That's what excites me about what you're doing here. And it's interactive, it's democratic, it's the way of the future. The workplace of the future will be a collaborative place, not too hierarchical, where you judge people not by their qualifications or what they look like, but what they bring to the table in terms of ideas. That's the sort of collaborative workplace we want. Pia's spoken a lot about strategic partnerships. That's what strategic partnerships are. And in a diverse society like ours, with all the talents we've got a huge amount to bring to the table. One of the particular beefs I have is that we develop a lot of ideas in Australia, but we don't necessarily commercialise them or scale them up here. Now, not every idea has to be commercialised here. The world is our oyster. But my point is, we need to do better in that space, because innovation across industry, across all sectors of industry, is the way of the future for this country. So tonight for me is a fantastic opportunity to meet so many people who are at the leading edge of ideas and of collaboration to promote innovation. The other thing I want you to do within the government sphere is to make it clear that people have permission to fail. That it's not about always covering your butt and being risk averse. Yes, it's government money, but unless we do new things, unless we try things, how will we know what works and doesn't work? So you are insurgents. You are changing the culture in which government operates. And the role of politicians like me and Malcolm and others is to do what we can at our level to promote that insurgency and make sure it spreads through as much of the government as possible. So it's a privilege to be here tonight. It's a privilege to see what you do. All strength to your arm. And I hope in the future we can say that the hackathons are becoming bigger than Ben-Hur, and they're covering the whole world, not just Australia and New Zealand. Thanks very much for having me.